Hello everyone. In this session, let us understand the concept of arrays. An array is the collection of similar data type, the collection of similar data. Say we want to create a collection of strings or collection of integers or double or characters, then we can create an array and add that collection to the array. So it is the collection of similar data types. Let us say we want to create a collection of days of a week, then we can create an array something like this. Say days of week are like in the form of strings, so we'll say string, array of string, and then we'll specify these open close square brackets, which is the symbol of array. This simply means we are creating the array that contains string elements, and then we can specify it some name, let us say days of week, and equal to, inside these curly brackets we can add the collection elements, something like this. So we have added Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday until Sunday. So all these strings are making a collection which is called as array of strings. So in this case we have 7 elements, and actually if I want to show you a diagrammic representation of this array, it will look something like this. We have these 7 sections or 7 boxes or say 7 containers or subsections, whatever you call it as, inside this array, and each section has one index associated with that. Very interesting. So each section or each element of the array has an index associated with it. The first section has index 0, and then it gets increased by 1 for every next section of the array, and we can see for the 7th element of the array, which is the last one, has index 6. So if your array has n number of elements, then the index of the last element is n minus 1. So 100 elements in the array, so the index will be from 0 to 99. That is very important. How do we find the length of the array? Simply by using the length method. Say I want to find the length of this array and print it in the console. We will do something like days of week, that is the name of the array, dot length. So it will calculate the length of the array. So 7 means the array can hold at the max 7 elements. Okay, so this is the way we can declare an array and add the elements. There is another way we can declare an array where we do not want to add the elements right away, declaring a blank array, which we will see it in next session. For now, this is the one way of declaring it, like create the array by using the data type, specify the name of the array, and add the elements to it. Now how do we get the elements of the array? We can get the element of an array by using the index of the specific element. For example, I want to get the element at index 2. So in this case it will be days of week, that is the name of the array, and all I need to do is provide the index in the square brackets. So this simply means get the element of this particular array which is at second index, which is in this case Wednesday. Monday has index 0, Tuesday has index 1, Wednesday has index 2. So it will simply retrieve the element at index 2 in the array. So when we run this program, you will see Wednesday getting printed, as simple as that. Can we change the element of an array? Can we update some value? Yes. So let us say I want to update the value at index 2 to something else. Simply it can be done in the same way. You will do days of week of 2 is equal to, let us say I want to add a new value as something like this. So what will happen? The existing value Wednesday will get updated with this RRR, and then if you try to see the value of second index again, it will be the updated value, as simple as that. So new value is RRR. Can we add new elements to the array? No. Once you fix the length of the array at the time of declaration, you cannot change it. When you fix the length, you cannot change it. So when you declare an array, we have to specify the length. So in this case, when we are declaring it and initializing it with the initial elements, it specifies or it fixes the length of the array over there. In the other case also, which we are going to see it in the next session, where we declare an array without any elements, with the blank things, at that time also we have to specify the length. So in the future, whenever we add the elements, we can add only in those length. What if we try to add the value or try to retrieve the value from some index which is outside the boundary? Like in this case, we have 7 elements, so we know the index is from 0 to 6, and I'm trying to retrieve the value at 10th index. In this array we have the index from 0 to 6, and what if I say give me the value at index 10th? Then let us see what happens. When you try to access the value at the index which is beyond the boundary, then we get the error called as array index out of bounds exception, which is similar to string index out of bound. If we try to access a character which is out of the boundaries of the character, then we get string index out of bound. Similarly, in this case, we get array index out of bounds exception. So it will be both the cases. If you try to retrieve or if you try to update a value with something else, in both the cases, you are going to get the exception. So over here, array index out of bounds because index 10 does not exist in this case. Now, what is the significance of length over here? If you want to iterate over an array by using for loop, this length can help you. First, let us see using the conventional for loop. Then there are multiple ways we can iterate over an array by using a list iterator, or we can use a modified for loop. Over here today, let us see how we can iterate over an array by using the conventional for loop. For that, simply let us start with for. Let us say int I is equal to 0 because index of array is always going to start with 0. Then I less than or equal to. Now we want to go from 0th index to the last index. And to find the last index, I can simply say length of the array minus 1. And then I plus plus. So this is going to give me the index of the last element of the array. And then we can iterate over the loop, something like this. So in this case, when you say give me all the elements of the array, when we are iterating over it, we can simply use days of week, that's the name of the array, and of I. So over here, when the value of I is 0, we will get the value at 0th index, and then it will increase by 1 every time, and then we will receive all the elements from 0th element to the last element of the array. So when we run this program, we are retrieving all these elements over here. Okay, so this is how we can create a conventional for loop over an array to iterate. Now if you want to create arrays of some different data types, we can do that. Say for example, you want to create an array of integers, say int, then this is the symbol of array, say arr1, that's the name of the array, and then add your integers. And so on. So this becomes the array of integers. Now if you want to create an array of characters, so first the data type, then the symbol, then give it some name, say arr2, and then something like this. So very simple. These are all the single dimensional arrays. One thing to remember, these are all the collection of similar data types. Like for example, in the integer array, you can add only integers. You cannot add any double in between. If you try to do that, it will start to throw the error. Like in this case, we cannot add a double value inside an integer array. They all have to be integer only. That is one of the constraints. Another constraint is when you declare an array, at the time of declaration, whatever size it gets created with, that size is fixed. You cannot change it afterwards. Okay, there are other data structures we can use, which are kind of like array list or linked list, which we'll see it in future, where you can modify the size, but not in case of arrays. We'll do some more programming with it in the upcoming sessions.